I saw you batting out there. You look a little rusty, but hey, I got you some, bro. Inject these in your brother still. I got you. Go whoop some. You got it, Bony Legs. There. Whoa!
The use of steroids in the 1990s, especially in professional sports, had a major impact on American culture and the way people view athletes. Many athletes, especially in baseball, use performance-enhancing drugs, PEDs, to gain strength, recover faster, and break records. While this led to exciting moments in sports, it also created a long-lasting controversy. In baseball, players like Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, and Barry Bonds became national heroes for their incredible home run records. Stadiums were packed and fans were thrilled. However, when it was later revealed that many of these accomplishments were boosted by steroids, it led to disappointment and anger. The trust between fans and players was broken, and many fans abandoned baseball and began to look at other sports differently. Steroid use also raised serious concerns about health and ethics. Many young athletes wondered if players could use steroids and break records along the way. Why couldn't they? Why couldn't they also use performance-enhancing drugs? Eventually, this led to more awareness and education about the dangers of steroids. Journalists and lawmakers began taking the issue more seriously. Drug testing became the norm, and new rules were put in place to protect the integrity of sports. The steroid era made Americans think differently about sports, and for parents, the importance of sports participation in their own kids' lives. It raised tough questions. Is it really winning if you cheat? Does the end justify the means? These debates went beyond sports and touched other areas of life, like business and entertainment. One of the most shocking moments in sports history happened on June 28, 1997, when heavyweight boxing champion Mike Tyson bit off a piece of Evander Holyfield's ear during a rematch in Las Vegas. The fight was then known as Bite Fight. The incident stunned viewers around the world and instantly became one of the most infamous moments in professional sports. Tyson was disqualified, fined $3 million, and temporarily banned from boxing. This moment didn't just affect boxing. It made a huge impact on America. First, it changed how people viewed sportsmanship. Tyson had already been known as a fierce and controversial fighter, but biting an opponent crossed a rather serious line. Fans and the public began to demand more accountability in sports, pushing for stricter rules and behavior standards for athletes. The incident also sparked major media attention. It dominated headlines, late-night shows, and even cartoons. Tyson went from being feared and respected to being seen as out of control and unpredictable. The media frenzy helped set a trend where athletes' personal behavior off the field or in the ring became just as important as their performance. In a strange way, it also changed how America views fame and redemption. Years later, Tyson reinvented himself with movies, one-man shows, and interviews. Some people forgave him, while others never did. His story became an example of how American culture often gives second chances, especially to celebrities. In the end, Tyson biting Holyfield's ear off wasn't just a wild moment in sports. It changed how Americans think about athletes, behavior, media, and forgiveness. It reminded the country that even the biggest stars can fall and sometimes rise again.
Breaking news. The South Tower of the World Trade Center has just been struck by a plane, and we have reported the North Tower has just been struck by a second plane.
On the morning of September 11, 2001, America was forever changed. 19 terrorists from the extremist group Al-Qaeda, led by a man named Osama bin Laden, hijacked 4 commercial airplanes in a coordinated attack. 2 of those planes, American Airlines Flight 11 and United Airlines Flight 175, crashed into the north and south towers of the World Trade Center in New York City. The first impact happened at 8:46 a.m. and the second at 9:03 a.m., shocking the world as the towers burst into flames and eventually collapsed. A third plane, American Flight 77, crashed into the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. at 9:37 a.m. The fourth plane, United Airlines Flight 93, was headed for another target in Washington, possibly the White House or the Capitol, but brave passengers fought back. The plane crashed into a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania at 10:03 a.m., killing everyone on board but saving countless others. Nearly 3,000 people were killed in the attacks, making it the deadliest terrorist attack in U.S. history. The event left America in shock, grief, and fear. There was a massive search and rescue following the collapse of the tower. There was only about 20 people that were found alive in the rubble of the North Tower. After 9/11, the U.S. made major changes to its national security. The Department of Homeland Security was created, and airport security became much tighter. Laws like the Patriot Act were passed to expand surveillance and help prevent future attacks, though some people worried about losing privacy rights. The Patriot Act followed the government to wiretap civilian electronic communications, bringing up many controversies about privacy. 9/11 also led to the War on Terror, including wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. American foreign policy became more focused on fighting terrorism, and the military remained active overseas for years. The invasion on Afghanistan aimed to overthrow the government and the Taliban.
Hey man on the left, get down!
The war in Afghanistan, which began in 2001 after the 9/11 terrorist attacks, was one of the most significant events in modern American history. The United States launched the war to destroy al-Qaeda and remove the Taliban from power, as they had been provided a safe haven for terrorists. At first, the mission seemed successful, but over time it became a long, complicated conflict that lasted 20 years, making it the longest war in American history. The war had a huge effect on America as a whole. Politically, it changed how the U.S. government approached national security. The Department of Homeland Security was created, airport security became much stricter, and new laws allowed for more surveillance. These changes made many Americans feel safer, but also raised concerns about privacy and civil rights. Economically, the war cost the country over $2 trillion. That money could have been used for things like education, healthcare, or infrastructure. Many people began questioning whether the war was worth the cost. On top of that, more than 2,400 American soldiers lost their lives, and tens of thousands were injured or suffered from PTSD. This brought a lot of attention to the need for better care for veterans. Culturally, the war changed how Americans saw their country's role in the world. The chaotic withdrawal in 2021, where the Taliban quickly took back control, made many feel like all the sacrifice was for nothing. It led to a lot of debate about whether the U.S. should get involved in other countries' problems. Overall, the Afghanistan war left a lasting impact on America. It changed our politics, economy, military, and how we view ourselves as a nation. Even though the war is over, its effects are still being felt today.
What are you wearing on your face, bro?
Bro, don't you know about COVID? Don't you know about the disease that's sweeping the nation? Hey, put your mask on. Put your mask on.
The COVID-19 pandemic, caused by the SARS-CoV-2 virus, began in December 2019 in Wuhan, China, and quickly spread worldwide, leading to widespread illness, death, and global disruption. To control the spread, governments implemented strict lockdowns that confined people to their homes, closed businesses, and limited social contact. Schools shifted to remote learning, workplaces went virtual, and everyday life was drastically altered. While these measures were necessary for public health, they had lasting effects on mental health and social well-being. Economically, the lockdowns triggered a global decline. Industries like tourism, hospitality, and retail were hit hardest, resulting in widespread job losses and business closures. Supply chains faltered, markets crashed, and economic inequality deepened, as low-income workers and small businesses were disproportionately affected. In response, governments rolled out large-scale stimulus measures to cushion the blow. By 2025, with the help of vaccines and improved treatments, the virus's impact has lessened, but the pandemic left lasting effects on economies, work culture, and global preparedness for future health crises.
My fellow Americans, I'm glad to report that I won the election, because of course I did. You know, Hillary would have made a terrible president. I got a plan. We're gonna build a wall. It's gonna be the greatest wall the nation's ever seen.
How did Donald Trump become president if he wasn't a politician? Donald Trump became president through the established democratic process of the United States, not through any law enforcement background. Announced his candidacy for the Republican Party nomination for president in 2015. How did Donald Trump win and Hillary Clinton lose? The emerging conventional wisdom is that Hillary Clinton fell short in the Rust Belt states because her campaign took for granted and failed to turn out her supporters. In the case of Pennsylvania, this thesis is false. Not only did the campaign mobilize an army of volunteers to get out the vote, it executed its game plan successfully. Hillary Clinton lost Pennsylvania because Donald Trump brought a flood of rural and small-town working-class voters into the electorate. The standard Democratic formula for success in Pennsylvania is to run up huge margins in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and prevail more narrowly in the suburban counties around Philadelphia, creating a margin large enough to overcome the edge Republicans enjoy just about everywhere else. The Clinton campaign did so, in fact, better than the Obama campaign did in 2012. Although Clinton's statewide total in Pennsylvania just fell short of Obama's in 2012, this modest shortfall was not why she lost the state. The real story is that Donald Trump ran up the score in every Republican-leaning rural and small-town county, besting Mitt Romney's statewide total by nearly 300,000 votes. The president wants a physical barrier along the border between Mexico and the U.S. to prevent people from crossing over it illegally. The border wall has proved to be a controversial topic, with many people disagreeing about whether or not it's a good idea. Some of the existing border barriers have been replaced since Mr. Trump entered the White House. Building a wall was one of Trump's key promises when he was campaigning to become U.S. president. It was an idea that divided the country, but it won Donald Trump many supporters. A wall at the border between the U.S. and Mexico would be designed to prevent people from entering the U.S. illegally.